my lovies. This week we're going to talk about expectations and having unrealistic expectations, which I personally think just come with the job of parenting. I mean, let's go back to before you had children, right? Just take a moment and remember back to all of your fantasies, all of your expectations, first of all, on yourself, and then of your children, and then how quickly those begin to fall away. Now, this can be a very painful process especially because of the love, right? The big, big love that we have for our children. And of course, we have all these big expectations on ourselves to be kind, to be loving, to be gentle, to take care of all their needs on demand. I mean, I remember all the expectations that I had, which looking back now, I can laugh because they were so unrealistic. I was a single mom. I adopted my daughter on my own. I was responsible for everything, the emotional part, the practical part, the physical part. And I had these expectations on myself that I was going to be like the most amazing mother in the whole world. I was going to be playful. I was going to, provide everything for her. I was always going to be kind. I was never going to yell. I was going to be perfect. And in my perfection, then of course, my daughter was going to be perfect. She was going to always listen to me. She was always going to do what I asked her to do. I just had this blissful idea in my head. And I'm laughing now because if I'd gotten that fantasy, I think that would have been not so good looking. Because the amount of growth that I have gone through, my daughter's 21 now. I can't believe it. And yet she is. And I can tell you the last 20 years have been amazing. I've been supported by so much support by my community that I live in. I've, been challenged out the wazoo. So many times I felt powerless and helpless and rejected and abandoned. And I've moved through those challenges. I've learned to grow in myself, to attend to myself. I've learned to healthily separate out from my daughter so I can come alongside her to support her journey. It has been like a very full 20 years. And if you just check it out, I'm just going to support you this week, just to check it out, just to see if you had it all peaceful and all loving, which may be your expectation on you and your children, maybe there wouldn't be so much growth. Because growth requires the challenge. It's just how we meet it. Just how we meet it. And if our perspective is that challenge is bad or wrong or negative, of course we're going to try to get rid of it. Instead of, what would it be like to drop your expectations and to sit down deeper in your being to know that you can unconditionally, confidently meet whatever arises, first of all in you, and therefore with your children. I mean, it is the most amazing, wonderful experience when you can begin to drop those expectations. Now, of course, you're going to have them, but when they come up, just around anything, just watch them. I watch them in my business. I watch them with my daughter. I have these expectations of how things are going to go. But those expectations don't support me in actually meeting what actually happens, what's actually in the moment, to be intimate with that moment. Now, I'm not very good at that. I had to really, really practice because of all the things that I practiced being in my fantasies, hoping and then feeling disappointment so very, very often. And yet along the way, I began to recognize that disappointment was my friend. It wasn't trying to beat me up or collapse me, all the things that I did when I didn't want to meet disappointment with kindness. But it was reminding me that I was human, that my expectations were a little high, and that if I could lower my expectations, I could enter into what was happening in the moment. Now, this is, again, as I say, such an intimate experience to be able to enter into that moment, not to project into the future, not to bring forth the past with you, just to truly enter in to what is actually happening in the moment as you release those expectations. Can you show up? Are you willing to show up, even, especially when it's challenging to the mind, when it's difficult to the mind? Are you willing to just show up, bring your presence, think less, and listen more? Thank you for listening to this episode of Parenting Paused. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and share it with your mama friends. You can also leave a review wherever you listen, which will support getting the Pure Joy message out. Come on over to the Pure Joy Parenting Practice Facebook page or join me on Instagram to hear more. And don't forget to download your free copy of the Safe Seat course on the Pure Joy website. And while there, check out the offerings page to go deeper in the Pure Joy work.